Good morning, YouTube. I'm Doc Legendary. Today we're going to talk about something fun. I'm wearing my pirate shirt today, but we're going to talk about the power of animal companionship. Something different. So let's get started with this Sagely Shave. All right, so it's time to get started, but before we get started, I want to share with you a new product that we're going to be shaving with today. Sterling Soap Company's Haverford. I think that's how you say it, Haverford. I don't know, hard to say for me for whatever reason. But the reason why I chose this and bought this is because there's this dude named George Lucy in the Sterling Soap Company fan group who posts about this all the time. He's like, it's the best scent. I have stockpiles of it. It's just super awesome. So reading about this, I'm like, yeah, I've totally got to try this. So we've got it loaded up in the shave bowl already. And I've got my pre-soaked brush, my pre-soaked Henson AL Shaving 13 mile blade, because nobody got time for that, right? To sit there and wait for me to preheat everything. So let's go ahead and get started. And it's this kind of brown tar. Looks like tobacco almost. I don't smoke. I don't dip, snuff, chew, anything like that. But I love manly scents, and so far this smells pretty darn good. So George, we're gonna see if you are right today, sir. And it lathers really well too. It's got this nice thick lather. So, and then we're gonna go talk about animal companionship, because that's why that's the topic of the day, right? But I just want to take this quick aside because this guy's fanatical almost about how good this stuff is. So I'm excited. All right, so we got a nice lather on the brush. Yeah, smells oaky, slightly sweet, almost like a tobacco scent. Smells very manly. I dig it. I like it. I like this. I could see myself shaving with this a lot. Makes me wonder what the aftershave is like in the soaps, what the actual bath soap is like. Oop, I got a little bit on my stash, something a little water can't fix. All right, so into today's topic, the power of animal companionship. So I don't know how many of you have a dog or a cat or a bird or heck, a snake or lizard. But in my family, we're dog lovers. And growing up, I had a dog that lived to be, no lie, 27 years old. And he didn't die of old age. My neighbor accidentally hit him on the way home from work with his Volkswagen Rabbit, and he lived through that, but had a crushed pelvis. And we had to tend to him for 6 weeks. He wasn't getting any better. Bones didn't heal, so we had to end up having him put to sleep. And I remember that was a huge deal for me. I was 14 years old when that happened. My mother got the dog as a puppy, as a rescue puppy when she was 16 years old. So that tells you how old that dog was. But we didn't really end up getting. I didn't end up getting animals again until I married my wife. And my wife had 2 labs, a yellow lab and a black lab, Charlie and Lucy. And Charlie and Lucy grew on me like a fungus. They were great. But Lucy was a puppy. Charlie was a little bit older, so I had a little bit harder time getting a rapport with him. But Lucy, quickly became my dog. And they were both just a beautiful black Labrador retriever. And I had so much fun with her. But the power of animal companionship, what I want to demonstrate is how great it was to have Lucy and Charlie in my life. Because number one, when my wife is not available, because she had a job, I was in the middle of internship and residency, which is hard. You're working 80, 90-hour weeks, 30-hour shifts. I was hitting some major problems with my mood. I was starting to develop depression. I'd have days where I'd just come home and weep over a patient with a bad outcome. You know, we lost. I remember one emergency room shift where a pediatric trauma came in, and that was really difficult. But my Lucy, she was empathetic. She could sense when I was hurting, and she would come and lay with me and kind of love on me in her own way. I loved playing with them. They were always there to play, throw the ball with. You know, I was never bored. I always had something to do with them. But also, you know, Lucy especially saved my life a couple times. I once fell asleep after I was post-call, worked a 32-hour shift at the hospital, and I decided I had the great idea that I was going to make some steak for breakfast, steak and eggs, breakfast, whatever. I'd gotten home at like 2 in the afternoon, but steak and eggs is what I was going to do. Well, I decided to cook the steak in olive oil for whatever reason on the pan, and I fell asleep on the couch, and next thing you know, there's a fire, and Lucy barked, woke me up, and finally nipped me to get me out of my slumber. And I was able to get up and put out the fire before it scorched our house and me with it. Same thing again, a while back, I had started a slow simmer meal and had used some cooking oil, and evidently had the temperature too high and it caught fire. And I was downstairs playing World of Warcraft with my friends, you know, insert gaming joke here. And Lucy came downstairs and drugged me away from it. And then that's when I noticed the smoke on the ceiling and upstairs. And I ran up there and was able to put out the fire with minimal damage. So they can be protective of you too. Also had a strange person come up to our house and refuse to leave one time. And both my dogs went ballistic and forced them to go away. So that was nice. And now I have and Lucy has since passed on. She's passed away, unfortunately, just a few weeks ago. And man, the love I had for that dog was just immense. All right, we're gonna get a little rinse in here, guys. But we have another dog. We became a foster for the Save a Lab Foundation, and we're foster failures because the third dog that we fostered, her name was Rosie, went through a lot, had surgeries, and I just couldn't let her go. And she's been a great dog as well. She's had no big saves, but she has looked after our kids very well. She alerts me when one of our kids is in trouble or is tripped up, and will come and get us. Great protection. She barks at everything, but not excessively. Animals just add so much value to your life, especially dogs, cats, in particular. Because they're, I look at them like little people. They may not talk to you, they may not be able to interact in the same way, but they can totally feel emotion. They can feel your emotion. They totally feel love, and they give love back. Yes, they're hard to keep track of sometimes, and yes, they're hard to maintain sometimes. And yes, sometimes taking them out at 2 a.m. because they're barking to go outside and they need to go pee or poop is an inconvenience. But I tell you, having an animal that you can love and companion with is a value add in your life if you can afford it and keep up the responsibility. All right, I use some Glacial Lemon Chill. That menthol just tingles so good on top of that Haverford shave. So I give 2 thumbs up to the new soap. George Lucy, thank you for the recommendation. This feels good. I will definitely put this in my rotation. And to the rest of you, if you don't have an animal, consider getting one. And finally, if you have an animal, if you have a dog, a cat, or whatever, hug on your animal today. Tell them how much you love them, because that will benefit you. So go forth today, do some good work, do some good for other people. Doc Legendary out. Peace.